I've been managing different ad accounts on Meta for different e-commerce brands, and I've seen this very common mistake, which is the misunderstanding of the creative sequencing and how creative sequencing works now post Andromeda and GEM. So in this video, I want to clarify this topic and go into the details and explain everything about it. So I will be talking about how the creative sequencing works post Andromeda and GEM, how your creative strategy should change based on this new optimization system, how to create creative briefs Andromeda friendly, what are the account structure to use that best fit this new system, when to turn off and turn on ads, and how to profitably scale the ad account. So let me jump straight into it. Just see here in the last 30 days, I've been managing and overseeing a lot of different brands spending a lot of money on Facebook ads, and all the suggestions and everything I'm going to explain in today's video have basically been tested by me and my team with our clients, and also like different strategies that we have applied, even like for the clients that we consult, and we've been really seeing some amazing results with this. And it's very important that you actually understand how Meta now works, especially with the creative sequencing system, and what kind of implementation you need to do inside the ad account in order to make this thing work. First topic is how creative sequencing works post Andromeda and GEM. This is very important for you to know because you need to know the foundation in order to actually do something about it and implement the actual strategy to make your ads work. So if you look at these two main articles that comes from Meta, Andromeda, and GEM, we notice two main things. The first thing that we notice is that Meta Andromeda is a personalized ads retrieval engine. What does it mean is that there is a main keyword here, which is personalization. Personalization in the ads is something that Andromeda wants to see in order to actually improve the delivery. So the more personalized your ads are for different personas and different people, the better the performance will be. And this is the first thing. The second thing here is that, as you can see from the GEM's architecture, GEM is basically the brain behind Andromeda. You can see that GEM is basically trained in different ad accounts, and the scope is that it's going to create a sequencing of the ads in terms of like how the ads are delivered, and also creating a sequence with your organic interaction. So there will be different type of organic and ads content that basically are sequencing to each other when they're delivered to people. And so you might see someone that see different type of ads, and then it sees an organic content, then it sees again the ad, and so on. And so these two elements here that you want to remember are the personalized ads and ads content sequencing. These are basically the two main keywords that we want to understand. Now, if we go into the details when it comes to Andromeda, we can basically see that these two things here basically mean that the ads are personalized for each user. So let's say you have these 5 different ads here that you launch inside your ad account. Then what you see is that for one user, maybe the sequence is like this, straight, right? Then for another user, the sequencing might be like this, and then people buy here. For another user, the sequence can start from here, and then it goes here, and then it goes here and here. So what you need to understand is what are the different pieces of the puzzle, so of the sequencing, that you guys need to actually consider in order to make your ads work. Because if you create your ads, if you build your ad strategy without considering this sequencing system and the personalization of your ads, then things are not going to work. So let's dive into how you can actually change your creative strategy based on this new optimization and delivery system. So a couple of things to mention. Let's start with this. When you create an ad, you need to look at your ad creation into this kind of graph here. So when you create an ad, you need to define your personas. So the persona is basically who you're targeting. Let's say moms over 50, stressed about whatever, or like entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, 25 years old, whatever. These are just like some example for you, right? And then for each different persona, you have a lot of different angles. And then for each different mix of persona angle, you can create, so for each different angle, you can create different concept. The concept are basically the ads that you use to deliver the specific message that contains the angle. So let's say, for instance, the angle is, do an example here. So let's say the angle is improve sleep. This is the main angle, okay? And we want to focus mainly on like busy entrepreneurs, okay, which are basically between, let's say, 30 to 40, and always go deep about the persona itself. So are the pains and the desire, right? Then the angle is improve sleep, but why they want to improve sleep? Because they want to produce better outcomes at work. They want to make more money, right? Okay, so that's the actual outcome, and we need to focus on this. So our concept is like how we deliver this message, which is improve sleep in order to make more money visually, either through a static or through a video. Okay, this is how we want to identify a concept. And just for you to give you an example, we might have us versus them format here. We might have another angle, another concept here, which is like the headliner. So you have the big headline on top with the product. You might have another concept, which is, I don't know, like USP. So you have the product in here with different USPs here, okay? You can have like before and after, there are so many, right? Same things for the video. So the video, if this is a video, right? Then you might have like 3 reasons why. Or you might have, I don't know, like a testimonial, okay? So all these things here are basically our concepts. And if we mix the concept in here with the angle and the persona, we will get our ad, okay? And this is how you need to think when it comes to creative strategy. Now, another thing to mention is that if you have a persona can have different angles, right? And then each different angle can have different concept. So we might create different ads for different angle using different concepts. This is very important for you to understand, because if you understand this, then what you can do is understand that if you have a specific persona in here, a persona might have different angle, and a persona might have different pain point. And the angle can also be delivered through different messages, right? So let's say they improve sleep for entrepreneur that we said before here, right? So they want to improve sleep because they want to make more money, but you have different ways of delivering this message. You can either say like improve sleep because you want to make more money, okay? Very straight to the end outcome. Or you can be a little bit more soft and be like, you cannot sleep at night because you have, like you think about work, okay? And then you actually be like, okay, then this is the solution for you. Okay, so you wanna call out some problems. So this different application of an angle is what we basically define as user awareness stage, okay? Because there are some people that are like, okay, I have this problem, which is improve sleep, right? And then I'm like, okay, what you do, you call out the problem in the ad, and then you show the solution, okay? Or you can either call out a solution and be like, hey, I know you've been trying this, and that to improve your sleep, but nothing has worked. And the reason is because you're not using my product, because my product has X, Y, and Z ingredient and whatever, okay? Now, let's move towards this new concept here. When you create your ads for Meta, you need to understand that the ROAS that you see on the ad is technically wrong. And the reason why I'm saying is wrong is because it's based on a last click attribution. What does this mean? Is that if someone see the ads in a sequence and they click here and then they buy, the sales goes here. And so the ROAS looks high here. But maybe the reason why was able to see this ad is because that specific person got served these 2 ads, specifically this one. And so since you cannot track this, you might make wrong decision when you look at the ROAS, okay? And this is important for you to know before we do anything else. Now, let's look here, and this is very important. When you, most likely if you open your ad account now, you will find this correlation between frequency and ROAS. That means that if the frequency is high, ROAS is also high. Why? Because you're targeting basically the lowest part of the funnel in here, right? If the frequency is low, then you see the ROAS is also low because you're going more top of funnel. So you will see that the most unaware ads will have a reported low ROAS here, And then you will see that your most aware ads will have a higher reported ROAS here, right? This is the reported ROAS for this ad compared to this one, okay? But now, we need to understand is that here the frequency is also higher. And here, the frequency, as you can see here, is lower, right? So, what you need to look at, rather than looking at the single ad ROAS, it's important for you to look at the average ROAS of the sequence that you create. That's why, when you create ads, you don't have to think about the single ad itself. So look at the data singularly about the single ad itself, but you need to look at the entire sequence. Now, when you build a sequence, you usually can build a sequence either within a single ad set, and we'll go this into details a little bit later, or the sequence can also happen across different ad sets, right? Because like, it doesn't mean that you need to, so let's say here you have, I don't know, like 3 ads, and then here you also have other 3 ads, right? So while here the sequence might be stronger because you're going towards technically a specific persona, if you're using a same persona in another ad set, most likely the sequence might be also happen across different ads from different ad set, okay? Because you're still targeting the same persona in there, right? Now you need to remember this because we're gonna look more into the details later. So the next topic is how you now want to create creative briefs in a way that they are more Andromeda friendly. So how you create brief in a way that everything that you do is built based on this ad sequencing personalized system, which is how Andromeda works, right? So the first thing that you need to understand are your personas, okay? So first exercise is identify your personas, and you need to be specific, but not too specific about this. Like, you cannot be entrepreneur, okay? Is like entrepreneur stressed of his business declining. And then another persona could be stressed moms because of work plus family. They need to take care of like a lot of different things, okay? Now, for this example, let's say we take this persona as an example. So busy entrepreneur stressed of his business declining, low margins, you know, this kind of stuff. Now, once we have the persona, we want to identify the angle. And we have 2 personas here, but in this example, we're going to focus on this persona. And let's look at different angles. So, for instance, we can have 2 different angles in here. The first angle is entrepreneur nervous system burnout. And just for you to know, the hook is something like, if you're exhausted, but your brain still won't shut off at night, your nervous system is probably overloaded, okay? So this is one angle here. And another angle could be this one, high cortisol. So most stressed entrepreneurs don't actually have a sleep problem. They have a stress recovery problem. This is another angle, okay? Now, for each angle that you do, that you have, that you build, what you need to do, you need to actually go into the details and understand what are the emotional trigger, the narrative, in order to understand how you need to present your product, okay? And this comes down to the actual messaging. So once you know all these things, you have your angle, but now you have different messaging that you can use to deliver that angle, okay? Now, next, let's say we pick this angle here, which is if you're exhausted, but your brain still won't shut down at night, your nervous system is probably overloaded. So we offer the solution in order to avoid that the nervous system is going to be overloaded, okay? Cool, so now we need to pick the concept. When it comes to concept, we need to understand that we have different type of concept. We have the educational talking head video, let's say, we have the founder story, us versus them static ad, headliner static ads, testimonial ad, discount offer. So we pick one concept or multiple concept to deliver this angle. And now this is where the part gets very interesting. So you have different concepts that you can choose from, and these are just some of them. There are many more, right? And then what you also have are different user awareness stages, because you have people who are unaware, people who are problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware, right? And so what you need to do here, you need to create and you need to think in a creating sequencing system, meaning that when you run your ad for a specific angle, right? People might see your ads in a specific sequence. You don't know though the sequence. So actually, let me clarify this here. So let's say we target this persona, okay, which is the entrepreneur. Now, some of these people might, and the angle is, let's say the angle is this one. The angle is the nervous system is overloaded, okay? So they cannot sleep at night because of the nervous system. Now that we have this angle can be delivered across different user awareness stage, okay? Unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware, okay? Now, when you launch your ad set, and all your ads inside your ad account, the mistake that I see is that people create 5 different variations of the same user awareness stage. And this is the mistake because you're not thinking like Andromeda works. And so you're building ads in a way that doesn't really work after Andromeda. So what you need to do, you need to create ads in a sequence, meaning that you need to consider all the user awareness stages. And when you create ads for the creative brief should be built in a way, and the copy should be written in a way, and the concepts should be used in a way that match different user awareness stages. And so what you want to do, in this case, for instance, you want to have 1 to 3 concepts for each awareness stage. So 1 to 3 concept for unaware, 1 to 3 concept for problem aware, 1 to 3 concept for solution aware, 1 to 3 concept for product aware, and most aware. Now, here, what you're going to do, you're going to use different concepts because not the same concept can be applied to the same or different user awareness stages. So for instance, if you have the us versus them, the us versus them is an ad concept that you usually apply to people that are solution aware or product aware. Okay, most likely solution aware because they know there is already a solution, which for instance is like, I don't know, a pill versus a gummy, for instance, something like that, or I don't know, like using your supplement against other whatever supplement there is in the market. This thing here is important for you because when you create your ads, you need to spread your ads across these different stages, because if you only focus on one, then things are not going to work because you're not creating the sequence. And something very important to mention here is that, let's say you create ad number 1, 2, actually, let me do like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is unaware, this is problem aware, this is solution aware, this is product aware, and this is most aware, okay? Now, when you put all these ads into one ad set, what is going to happen is that, and by the way, these are all the same angle, okay? What is going to happen is that when you target this persona, which are this entrepreneur here, right? This entrepreneur here above, what is going to happen is that this ad set here is going to use different creatives to target different users that are within your persona at different user awareness stages. That means that some people might see this ad first, other people might see this ad first, other people might see this ad first. Okay, and then you're going to convert them, and then there is going to be a sequence triggering, because for instance, maybe you have 3 ads here in this solution aware, and then someone might see one ad in the solution aware, then another one, and then we see one of your other ads that you have in the problem aware, let's say, bucket, okay? And so that's why what you will see different things going on, basically. Like what you will see is that there are some ads that are working more, and you will see that this ad here, more unaware, will have a lower frequency and lower ROAS, but that is happening because they're targeting more top of funnel, while all of these here, especially these 2, are targeting more bottom funnel, and so technically here the frequency is higher, and so the ROAS is higher. But the issue that I see is that what people do, they most likely focus only on this here, and so when they scale up the budget, things break. And let me actually give you a realistic example of this from a brand that for sure you know. This is Groans, right? So this ad here is for unaware audience, and let's look at it together and let's read it together so we actually understand what is going on. So this is a bit awkward, very big, as a hook, okay? Then, if you are on GLP-1, we should talk about your poop. Okay, this is like, if you are on this product, we should talk about this. So I'm treating you like you are unaware of what is going on. And so then because eating less sounds great until your gut starts doing its own thing, okay? And so I'm slowly, like, unaware, cool. Then I call out what the problem is, okay? And then I'll tell you the solution, which is this one. This is the solution, right? So is the hook here, then say, hey, you are unaware of this because of this, but you're unaware of this. Like, if you do this, you are unaware of this problem here, which is the problem shown here, and then this is the solution, okay? So this ad here is mainly for unaware. And now what they do, they create also other ads for more problem aware. And as you can see, they have different creatives distributed. This is like just for static because it's easier for you to see them. Same happen with videos. Now this is problem aware. So on GLP-1, I show you that you have this problem, so you technically are aware of the problem, because I'm not telling you that you have this problem. I'm showing you, so you know, or like you're already aware of the problem, and this is the actual solution. Okay. Or also I can call out the problem and be like, no pooping while on GLP-1. So do you have this problem? Time to fix it with this product. Okay. And then you have the product aware. So is basically more like focusing on the actual product, showing a lot of different offers in the ads. That's why this is more like a mix between problem aware and product aware, because I'm calling out the problem again, and then I'm instantly focusing on the offer. Okay, it's not like I'm not giving you anything else like this one. I'm just instantly focusing on the offer. And then you have the most aware, which is basically just the offer. I'm not even deeply talking about the problem. No, I'm just mentioning like GLP-1 journey, but I'm not saying anything specific about GLP-1. And this is how Groon actually creates the sequencing. Now, some people might see this and they might buy here directly. Some people might see this and they'd be like, okay, interesting, I didn't know. They do some research, they don't buy. But they do the research and they get interested. And then they see this ad here and they don't buy again because they check your website, they're not convinced, whatever. And then they see this ad and they might buy here. Okay, but then the ROAS goes here. But then which one is the creative that actually should get the credit? Is it this one or is this one? Because without this one, the specific person didn't know about the issue. And so the person would have never been able to engage with this ad here and convert, right? Now, let's talk about the ad account structure to use the best fit system, and how you need to think about ad account structure when you want to, create and launch ads that focus on, that takes into consideration this creative sequencing system that are actually optimized for Meta Andromeda. So you have basically two different options in here. The option number one is campaign, and then under each campaign, you have the ad set number one. Each ad set is organized by one persona and different angle for the same persona. So you have persona number one. You can basically have different ad set focusing on the same persona, but different angle for the same persona. And then you want to put 5 to 30 ads inside, built in a sequencing level. My best number in here is honestly between these two. 15 to 20 is always the best. Of course, you need to have the budget to do this. You cannot do this if you have like 10 a day in this ad set, or at the CBO level in the campaign if you're not running CBO. Like if you have like, I don't know, like if you have like, for instance, 200 in here, that works. 200 for these two, 15 ads each, 20 ads each works. But if you have 15 here, it's going to be tricky, okay? Now, the mistake that I see is that people use bad variation rather than different concept. And this is very important, because even if, let's say we go back to here. So when we create ads for the problem aware, okay, we say that we need to create 1 to 3 ads for the problem aware, but then you need to use different concept, okay? Concept under the problem aware user awareness stage. Okay, because you need to differentiate due to Meta Andromeda, but the differentiation should not be just a text or whatever. You need to differentiate in a way that you are basically delivering the same message, but slightly changing things inside the ad or the concept. And what I say is slightly changing is actually not slightly, but it's like changing completely the concept. So for instance, I don't know, like solution aware, right? Actually, let me give you an example because there is an example here. And this is the actual example. Very, very easy to understand actually. So as you can see, this is problem aware, right? And they are targeting the same thing, problem aware, with two different concepts. Concept number 1 and concept number 2. Same angle, same persona, okay? Now, let's go back to the ad account structuring here. So this is the first option. And then you have the second option. The second option is having one campaign. And then what you can do, you can have one persona per ad set. And then you have multiple angle under each ad set for the same persona. So rather than splitting and having different ad set for the same persona and have different angle, what you have one ad set for each persona and have multiple angles inside each single ad set. In this case, you technically want to have more ads inside, technically 50 to 100, and this also works. The reason why this works is because the persona is usually the big thing. So it's like the big audience demographic that you're targeting, and then the same persona might have different angles that you can target for the same persona. So technically, if you're targeting the same persona, just like different angles. And sometimes there is one angle that there are 3 angles that can fit one persona. And the sequencing, that's very important to mention, is not always built around the same angle. It's sometimes, not always, built under the different angles. That means that, let's say this is your persona in here, okay, and then you have these 3 angles, angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3. For each of these angles, what you do, you create, let's say, I don't know, like 10 ads, okay? Then same here, 10, same here, 10, okay? Now, when you put all this together in a single ad set, Meta has more data that are consolidated in one unique ad set, which is the persona that you're targeting. So while the learning happen at the ad level, it will also happen at the ad set level. And the ad set level is just like an aggregator of learning that happen at the ad level. So all the micro learning that are happening at the ad level are then being pushed to the ad set level. And this is where the actual demographics targeting are actually happening. Before you were using the interest, now technically you should use broad. That's why you need to use broad, okay? And so this concept here also works because the sequencing might also happen between, not just between these ads in here, but it might also happen between this ad and then someone sees another ad which is like the same persona but another angle for that persona, and then they see like they go back and see another angle. So the sequencing is also built here, not just within the single angle itself, right? And this happens even if you split the ad set in multiple angles. The only difference is that you're consolidating more. So when to use one option versus the other option, it simply depends on budget. Because if you are spending not a lot of money, then you want to consolidate as many things as possible because you want to consolidate the learnings that you have, like all the conversion, within less ad set and have more ads within single ad set. Then if you have more budget, you technically want to go into this option number 1 because you can technically split more since you are spending more for a single ad set, and so there is more learning. Of course, this here might be a little bit more precise because you're just consolidating all the angles and persona, but this option here is usually very scalable because you are expanding a little bit more the data that the ad set is getting because you're using different angles, a different concept. And so what basically means in this case is that the overall reach of the ad set, it gets much bigger. And you see usually a better frequency overall at the ad set level. Now the issue here is that, let me clean this a little bit. So the issue here is that when you do the option number 2, there is an issue. And the issue is the attribution, okay? What that basically means is that in the option number 2, you should turn off the ads, okay? Because you have a lot of ads. In the option number 1, you can turn off the ad set. Now, why I'm saying this? Because the conversion, as we mentioned already, usually gets allocated to the last click. So if I'm seeing different ads, last click here, I buy, this gets the conversion. But that doesn't mean that the reason why people buy is because of this ad. Okay. Now Meta optimized the sequence, but then the conversion gets attributed to the last click ad, and that's the issue. And that's why when you do option 2, you need to be really careful about how you read the data to turn things off or keep things on. And we're gonna talk about this later on. And then in the option number 1 is technically easier because since you have you're splitting by angle, you can technically judge by this and be like, okay, this angle is not working, I'm gonna turn it off. Because you need to look at the sequence, because Meta is optimizing the sequence and not at the single ad. So you need to avoid in this situation here to go inside the ad set and then turn off the single ad, because let's say this ad here, let's say you have like 30 ads inside, right? And then this ad here has a 5x ROAS, and this one has like a 1.8x ROAS. And so what you do, but this is getting all the spend. What you do is like, okay, I'm gonna turn this off. So this one gets more spend because it's better. But what this is doing is simply just going most likely, towards a lower funnel. That's why I usually tell you to look at the frequency, because when ROAS is high, usually also the frequency is high. And so the issue is that it's going here. And if you stop this one, you stop fueling this, and this, the frequency goes up. What is going to happen if you turn this off? Basically in this one, let's say you have a frequency of, I don't know, like 4, weekly frequency of 4, and you have a ROAS of 5, okay? You turn this off, what is going to happen is that in the next week, this ad gets more spent, the frequency goes up, the ROAS goes down. So it's gonna be the opposite of what it's supposed to do. So frequency goes up, ROAS should go up, right? But in reality, what you want to do, your end goal, is technically to have the frequency goes down and to have the ROAS goes up, okay? Because this is how you make the ads long-term sustainable. And this is also like how to avoid also like hitting the creative fatigue as well. And so in this case, just to go back to the ad constructor, you can turn off at the ad set level. In this case, you need to turn off at the ads level. But you need to be smart about your decision, meaning that you can't turn off the ad with the lowest ROAS and the highest spend. You need to judge and you need to understand things a little bit more into details. And that's the problem also of testing in ABO, because the sequence is built at the ad set level, at the ads level, but also at the ad set level. And so if you're running an ABO in here, what you're gonna do, you're basically going to allocate budget at the ad set level. And so when you move the budget around, you might move the budget or scale things that are not supposed to be scaled, simply because the ROAS is high, but probably it's because the frequency is high. And so you make this mistake, and then there is no incrementality, meaning that when you increase the budget there, the frequency goes up, ROAS goes down, and so you're spending more to get the same amount of return in terms of like revenue. So there is no incrementality, right? So when it comes to turning ads off, what is important to understand is that the purchase again goes on the last click. So if you take decisions solely based on ROAS, you will take very wrong decisions. And that's the very common situation that you see. So in this case scenario, you see that this ad here, these two, just because they have, they're more like unaware, and the reported low ROAS is lower because the frequency is also lower, you're gonna turn this off. And so what you think is like, okay, I'm gonna turn this to off because the ROAS is low, so Meta can spend more budget into this, and my ROAS goes up because the ROAS is already higher than this, right? But then what is gonna happen is that the frequency here is already too high. So if you do this, the overall ROAS of the ad set or the campaign, so at the broader level, will actually go down. And then you will wonder why. And that's the reason basically. Because there is no top of funnel fuel that you're bringing with your ads because you just turn them off. So imagine this. This is basically like how the creative sequencing works. And these are like all the different ads. And this one, the smaller one, is like small because the ROAS is small, is lower compared to this one, okay? And this is like unaware, and this is product aware. So what you see is that there is going to be like a sequencing that you probably cannot see. I mean, you definitely cannot see inside the ad account, but then you see that most of the conversion at least goes to this ad. But in reality, what is going to happen is that there is a sequencing going on, meaning that people will see your ad in a sequence in a way to actually convert. And so if you remove any of this ad, the probability to convert the person goes down, because if someone sees, for instance, only this ad, but then he sees this ad after, probably is not enough to convert. But if he sees this other ad here, then he will convert because he has seen these two ads. And this is very important. And thing is that different people have different sequences, so you cannot see like what the sequence is. And that's the issue when you take the decision, because like someone can see the ad number 1, then the ad number 2, and ad number 5, or maybe someone can see ad number 1 and then ad number 5 and then buy, or maybe someone can see ad number 1, then 2, 3, and then 4, and then buys a 4 without going to 5, right? So the main question is, so at the end of the day, like what to turn off and what to keep active. The rule number 1 is that you don't turn off ads based just on the lowest CPA. You need to have more contextual data about this, otherwise you will end up turning off ads that have a low CPA just because you're targeting the unaware, so top of funnel, okay? Now, this is the decision making that I follow and that I see like usually works when you take decision. So, there are 3 main things that you want to see: the frequency, the incremental or 7-day click ROAS, and the incremental or decremental profit. Now, this part here is basically what happens if you take a decision. So what you want to do, you might like say turn something off, and then you want to see what is going to happen after to the return on ad spend. But let's focus mainly on frequency and ROAS, because like it's something easier for you to actually have a look. So you turn off if your weekly frequency is high, let's say above 2, and your 7-day click ROAS or incremental ROAS is below the target. If the weekly frequency is low, below than 2, 7-day click ROAS and incremental ROAS is below target, then what you want to do, you want to analyze the entire campaign ROAS. If the entire campaign ROAS or ad set ROAS is good, then you need to keep it on. So let me give you some example. Let's say you have this ad here, and the last 7-day frequency is 2. Actually, let's say is 3. And the last 7-day ROAS, let's say ROAS now, but it can be something else as well, like the CPA. ROAS in this case, I'm talking about the 7-day click ROAS or incremental. You need to see also the difference between incremental and, but I will talk about this later. 7-day click ROAS is like 5. Let's say your target ROAS is 2. This is good, you can keep. But now what you see is that you have another ad that has around like a 6 frequency, and the return on ad spend is 1.8. Sorry, this is 1.8. What you want to do, you want to turn this off. If you have an ad with the last 7-day frequency of 1.5, okay, and the ROAS is let's say is like 1.8, you don't turn this off. This one you keep, especially if at the ad set level or the campaign level, the overall ROAS is above your target, which let's say is 2, so let's say it's like 2.5. In this case, you keep it on. If, another example, the frequency last 7 days is like 1.5 still, so still good, and ROAS is like 0.5, then here you can turn things off. Unless really your ad set or campaign ROAS is above 2, which is your target. But most likely, this never happen if you have this that is getting a lot of spend. Another thing to mention is also like where spend is going, because you also need to understand that. So let me give you another example. Let's say this is ad number 1, right? And then you have the ad 2, and then you have the ad 3. Now let's talk about spend. Let's say this one is spending like 1,000, this is spending 200, and this is spending 20. Frequency, this is like all 7 days, okay? And ROAS. Let's say here the frequency is like 1.8, ROAS is 1.8. Here the frequency is 5, ROAS is 3. Here the frequency is let's say it's like 3, and the ROAS is 1.2. So what you want to do here, this one can go off. If this one is also getting all the spend, so if the situation is something like this frequency, so let me actually do it again. So frequency here, this is like 6 frequency, and then this is 2, and this is 2, whatever, okay. This one in here is very risky. Even if the ROAS is higher than 2, this is still risky, because Meta is spending all the budget into a single ad where the frequency is very high. And the issue most likely in this situation is that you don't have here all the ads that are good ad on the unaware stage, because otherwise Meta should spend more budget. If not, you need to adjust things manually, and you might like split into a different ad set or different campaign. And this is very important, okay? Now, let me go into the details, and let's look how to actually scale your ad account. So, how you can scale while keeping the efficiency, technically. Keeping it meaning that keeping it at a good level. So, basically what you want to do, you want to see the budget that goes up, and the ROAS that technically stays the same. So, you have the profit. Of course, ROAS is not equal to profit. Just remember that, but it really depends on your business. Like if you only run Meta ads, and you have like 100 followers on Instagram, you're not doing anything else, most likely your ROAS is equal to the profit. If you're a bigger business, if you're like spending 100k, 200k, 300k, 500k, $1 million a month, then things change completely. But of course, when you judge inside the platform, the only measure that you can see is the ROAS, because like you cannot see the MER, the acquisition MER directly inside the platform. So how to scale your ad account? The thing is, you want to read the ads frequency and keep it around 2 weekly. If you push the frequency too high, it means that you need to change your strategy. So this is how it goes. Ad account weekly frequency is above 4. Cool. You need more unaware or problem aware ads. In this case, even if your ROAS is good, you do not increase the budget, because this will not be incremental. If you have a frequency of 4 and ROAS of 3, you increase the budget, the ROAS will drop drastically and instantly. So a situation is going to be something like, let's say you're spending, I don't know, like 1,000 a day, or let's say weekly, 1,000 weekly, okay? And you're making 3,000, okay? So you're making a 3x ROAS. What's going to happen here is that if you scale this, let's say you scale it to, I don't know, like 1.5k spent weekly, then you're still going to be making 3,000, or you're going to be most likely making like 3,100. So in this case here, you have a ROAS of 1.5. So ROAS went down. Sorry, my bad calculation. In this case here, you have a ROAS of around 2 point something, okay? So in order for you to avoid this situation in here, what you need to do, rather than increasing your budget just because your ROAS is good but the frequency is high, you need to go here and be like, okay, cool, the ad account, I need to bring the ad account weekly frequency to 1 or 2. In this case, by using these ads, which is like launching more, creating more unaware and problem aware ads. And then once the ad account frequency goes to between 1 and 2, technically around 2 is good weekly, at the ad set level, then increase the budget by 20%, actually not at the ad level, sorry, at the ad level. So usually what you see here is that the ad set frequency is technically higher than the ad frequency, because let's say this is someone and he sees 1, 2, 3 ads. So the frequency in this case is 3 at the ad set level, but at the ad level is like 1. Okay, and this is important because this is happening most likely at the, so what basically happened at the ad level usually also goes pushed at the asset level. So if here you have a very high frequency in all the ads, then most likely you can't scale because you most likely have a very high frequency at the asset level or at the campaign level, okay? Now, what you need to do here, if you have an ad account weekly frequency between 1 and 2, technically even like around 2 works. What you want to do, you want to increase the budget by 20% every 1 or 2 days. Either like, it depends what you're doing. Usually I like to do CBO, and so at the campaign level, you want to increase and monitor what is going to happen to the frequency. When the frequency increase 3 to 4, then what you want to do, you want to start creating more unaware or problem aware ads. If the frequency increase to this, you also want to stop increasing the budget. Otherwise, you're gonna make the same mistake as here, meaning that when you increase the budget, there is no incrementality, and so the ROAS just goes down from 3 to 2, and so just like spend less at this point, so you're making more profit, right? And this is an example of what you wanna do. Like, your goal is to find ads with low weekly frequency at high spend with ROAS above target. So basically the situation is this one here. You want to find this type of ads that have a frequency, very low frequency, and technically what you want to see most likely is the spend. So you can spend a lot of money, even like 10K, while keeping a very low frequency of 1.35. And doing this at a very high, above target, incremental attribution ROAS. This is what you want. This one are all good because you're spending a good amount of money compared to the others, okay? And the frequency is technically also low, and so you can scale. Here, if you scale, you're gonna see the ROAS might go down, but not too much, but not the ad level here. You will see that because you always need to judge ROAS at the ad set or the campaign level. So you're gonna see this one might go down a little bit, but because this one, maybe any of this goes up, of this other ad with let's say a higher frequency like this one or this one, okay, this will go up. And so the overall ad account or ad set campaign ROAS will keep stable, or might even increase sometime. It happen. It's very not common, but it might happen that when you increase the ad spend, the ROAS goes up. It might happen, right? So once you have this thing here, what you can do, which is like one last tip, is do a bid cap campaign. And this is very important for you to understand. Like, as you can see, this is like the biggest spend, and this is like at the ad level. So this ad here spend a lot of money, spend more money on the bid cap campaign rather than on the highest volume campaign, which I think is like the second one in here, and spend more money, and it went even better in terms of incremental attribution ROAS. Okay. So what you want to do here, you want to duplicate these winners into a bid cap campaign, and you have two options here. You have the safe and risky. The safe option is to pick a bid based on your CPA. The risky option is to pick a bid based on AOV. But this is, or you can just duplicate into a standard highest volume campaign, and you want to scale this separately. Just make sure the frequency is low and the ROAS is high. So this is how you keep the performance. Even though my suggestion is just increase the budget at the assets level or the campaign level, and then simultaneously you might also want to have a separate campaign just for very low frequency ad, just to push more the unaware and the scalability of the account. Now the situation here is that why I'm saying safe or risky, because this is like another story, but like if you overbid compared to what you can spend with good creatives, based on how Facebook it does the ads retrieval inside the account, you will win the auction, and so you might win the auction at a very good CPA, much lower than your bid, because you have good ad with good engagement. This is like another story. We're going to talk about this another time. So you want to have a separate campaign with low frequency ad, above target incremental ROAS, at least 30 to 50 purchases each before you do this duplication. And again, this can be in highest volume or in either bid cap or cost cap if you like it. I'm not going to talk about these things in this video, otherwise it's going to be really too long. But what is important for you to understand here is that whatever decision you take, you need to take the decision in terms of like looking at the ad set ROAS and the campaign ROAS, because this is giving you a more precise actual ROAS in terms of like attribution and in terms of like business profit level, depending again on what is actually working and not working, depending on like how much you're spending and everything. And that's it for this video. If you have any question, feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to reply to everyone as usual. Leave a like to this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.